This is a quick video in which I'm painting this 3D printed station platform. I'm not a pro when it comes to painting, but I still wanted to show how I did it and share with you what I've learned and what I would do differently next time. Let's get started. First, I need to glue the three pieces together. For this I use super glue. I modeled them with this pen so they line up perfectly. A little bit of sanding was needed, but nothing crazy. To fill up the small gaps in the seams, you could use a modeling putty, but I didn't want to buy that, so I used a fine dust mixed with white glue. This worked better than I expected, so I decided to apply it all over the model to add mortar texture. I think that's how you say it. And then I removed the excess using a damp paper towel. Next, I used this brown paint as base coat. I have found it to be really good when painting smooth plastic surfaces, and it dries super matte with a bit of texture to it. To enhance the texture and avoid brush marks, I apply it using a sponge. Once dry, I used some 800 grit sandpaper to sand down the imperfections in the surface to create a smooth starting point for the next layer, which will be a light concrete color. This color is mixed using some white, black and a small amount of yellow, just so it doesn't have a blue tint. And again I used a sponge to apply this. I tried my best not to fill up the gaps between the tiles and concrete slabs, and I used a toothpick to remove unwanted paint. Next, I applied some white. I used the paper to remove most of the paint from the sponge before applying it on the platform. The plan was to add a bit of light areas or highlights, whatever you want to call it. Just be careful not to overdo it. Then I masked the front bricks and top to paint the concrete edge. I don't know if there's a specific name for it, and I don't know if it's on all station platforms. Anyway, I painted it a bit lighter grey. Next, I paint the yellow line. I thought about using enamel paints for this, but I know acrylic paints wouldn't creep under a masking tape as much, so I decided not to use it. However, I had to apply 3 layers because it was a very cheap acrylic paint that I used. I then used some grey to clean up the imperfections. I also painted the stairs grey. Next, I used some different shades of brown and grey to paint the individual bricks. I then tried to add some more mortar texture, however it ended up removing some of the paint from the bricks, so I had to go back and paint them again. This is the front, which is gonna be next to the track, so it's gonna be dirty. I dry brushed some olive green and black onto these bricks. And some of the bricks, like the first and second layer, will be covered with ballast, so I wasn't super worried about making them look perfect. Next, I masked the top so I could paint the sides. I didn't really know what to do with the sides, so I just painted them a dark brown. I also painted the edge grey. To be honest, I didn't really know what colors to use on this, so I just kept it simple and used some basic earth colors. I also added some more mortar texture. This is already looking really good in my opinion, however the next step will make it look much better, which is weathering. I didn't want to overdo the weathering, so I decided to start with an oil wash to see how it looks, and then after that maybe some weathering powders. I don't have much experience with oil washes, it's something I started using recently, but the method I used was very simple. I applied it with a brush and removed the excess with a damp paper towel. The oil wash can soften the acrylic paint, so just be careful so you don't accidentally remove it while applying the wash. After the oil wash, I was super happy with how the station platform looked at this point, so I decided not to try anything else. For the building, I did the same process, and it worked great. By the way, if you missed my previous video and want to see how I printed the small station platform and building, there's a link in the description. But yeah, I think it turned out looking really good. What do you think? If you have any suggestions on how I could improve it, please let me know in the comments. In the next videos I'll be making an interior and making platform lights. And I'm gonna try to print some people and other details for the station. But that's it for this video, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you next week.